Hello and welcome to this edition of Reality Check Conversations. I'm Tanya Cervoni. Today I'm joined by Kevin Judge. Kevin is an international speaker, he's an author, he's a coach, he's a consultant. You can read all about Kevin's background using the link below this video. Today we've invited Kevin to join the conversation to talk about pivoting. What does it look like for us as leaders, as business owners, to be pivoting and moving forward in this environment of so much uncertainty? Kevin, thank you for joining.
Hey, thanks very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and speaking with you today.
So I know many of us have been struggling as leaders, as business owners, to move forward in our businesses. This landscape is changing rapidly and the new normal has yet to be defined. So I'm curious, because I know you've been doing a lot of innovating and a lot of pivoting, for you to talk to us. In fact, I think you're going to be literally illustrating for us what some of our choices are to be moving forward right now as we wait for things to unfold.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to share my screen, and this is actually an example of me pivoting in my business, because this is something that I would normally do on a piece of paper sitting down with you one-on-one. And now I'm going to be doing it on the computer using some new technology. So hopefully it goes really, really well. But pivoting as an organization, it's really important that people first understand that they need to make choices as to what they're going to do in their business, right? So if we look at this line here as a timeline, where we're looking at today we're here, and then over on the far end, I don't know, let's say this is 3 years from now, and somewhere in between is a line that is going to be a survival line. Let's see if I can spell that right. So survival. And when is survival? When are we going to know that we've survived everything that's happening? I have no idea. I'm just going to pick 12 to 18 months, okay? So 12 to 18 months is when we potentially are going to know that we've survived. Now, there's people that are taking some actions, and there's also some people that have decided that they're not taking actions. So there's basically three groups. We've got people here that are not going to take any action, and they're just going to do nothing and hope that everything gets better for them. And unfortunately, they're not going to survive. They're not going to even make it to that 12 to 18 month time frame. Then you've got a group of people that are going to tough it out, and they're going to do some things, and some of those things are going to be right, and some of those things are not going to be right. They're basically going to ride the wave. This could be a bit of a bumpy road, and they should be potentially okay. Some of them will, but some of them won't. But the big thing is that there's economic forces that are pushing downwards on our ability to be successful. So these people that are riding the line, they may survive, but they'll actually be further behind than if things had stayed normal. Then the third group I want to talk to you about is people that are doing some of the right things. And we'll talk in a second about what those right things are. But if they're doing the right things, worst case scenario is that they'll probably have a little bit of a flat line, and then they'll start to increase their business. How long that flat line lasts, I have no idea. But things will start to pick up for them. Then there's actually a fourth group that are doing a lot of the right things all the time, and they're really consistently working hard at innovating and changing what they're doing. And this group is going to have a much higher slope when it comes to survival and being successful, right? So as leaders, we need to decide, which line do we want to be on? Do we want to sit back and hope this is going to go away? Some of us have been doing that already. Or are we going to do some things, or are we going to do the right things to hopefully get us past that survival point and put us in a better spot than if we had just ridden the wave, right? So this is the example of your options that you have in front of you. But I said, if you're gonna be one of those green lines, you need to innovate. And I'll go over here to this other chart. There's three things that you need to consider when it comes to how you show up as a leader today. So you need to look at, I'll use a black ink. You need to look at your team. You also need to look at your leadership. And I apologize for my writing if it's a little bit messy for folks.
I was just going to say, I'm just so impressed that you can write online like that. You wouldn't be able to read mine, guaranteed.
And lastly, you need to look at your organization, right? And where do those three fit in with each other? So when it comes to your leadership, are you going to be a victim, or are you going to be a champion for success in the future? When it comes to your organization, are you going to tread water? That's that yellow line we talked about. Mm-hmm. Or are you going to innovate and move things forward? And lastly, when it comes to your team, are you as a leader going to allow your team to sit in an anxious state, which I guarantee they are already? They're worried about their future, they're worried about their health, they're worried about their success, they're worried about if they've got a job, etc. So are you going to let them stay in an anxious state, or are you going to create a team of motivated people that are going to take you and your business forward to that green line level of success? So I'll move on to my last chart here to share with you, and there's 4 things that you can do with this. And so this overall piece is about pivoting, right? So what is your pivot? Whoops! And I keep hitting a button that I shouldn't be hitting. And
a perfect illustration that it's an iterative process and it may not be perfect, right?
That's right. But hey, I figured out where the eraser was, so that's what counts. So when it comes to pivoting, you have to ask yourself, what does pivot mean? And that's about looking at what's your offer. What is it that you're going to be giving customers? Look at Dyson vacuums as an example. Dyson, the maker of vacuum cleaners, turned around and invented, I think it was in 10 days. I'm not sure.
I think it was it might have even been less, but yeah, and it was a miraculous pivot for sure.
Right. So he's invented a respirator. So that's good for the short term, but it's also good for the long term because they've created a new line of business that will help them to expand their offering. There's other people that provide services. So I know somebody that does professional videos for companies, and he's always gone to you to do the whole videography and et cetera, et cetera. Well, now he's teaching an online offering for people on how to do it yourself. So he's created a new line of business, okay? The next thing you need to look at is your customer. So the customer that you had pre-March, is that the right customer still? Is there a different customer that you should be serving? So an example of that is you've got a lot of people that were B2B or business to business that are now converting to business to consumer directly, right? So, you've got people that have greenhouses, for example, that were selling to florists. Well, they're now selling to individuals as well, and they're opening up online businesses. And
I know another one here where we've got food wholesalers that were selling to restaurants, and now they're selling to consumers, and people are getting these produce boxes, and so they're completely shifting who their customer is during this period. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, exactly. And then another one here is, what is your messaging that you have for people? If we think about what people were looking for 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a lot of it was growth, long-term, prosperity, etc. Well, today people are thinking a lot shorter term. So are you still trying to sell people a yacht when really what they're looking for is a life raft, right? So what's the messaging that you have for people, both internal and external to your organization? And then the last piece is your delivery. So how are you delivering what it is that you're doing? So I used to do a lot of in-person work, and now I'm doing a lot of online work, right? And I've seen people that run conferences that used to do them face-to-face, and now those conferences are being done virtually. So those are the 4 things that you need to do when it comes to pivoting. Look at your offer, your customer, your messaging, and your delivery. And your mindset as a leader is the most important to making this happen. You have that opportunity to use the talent that you have and get them to innovate. Start thinking about what's working in your business, what's not working. What do your customers want? What do your customers want that maybe you don't know? And how can you get that information so that you're ready to build out that next offer or the new customer or whatever it is, and get your business that green line and advance your business as fast as possible. So that's it in a nutshell.
Well, and yeah, very concise, but there's so much richness there. And I so appreciate that you were able to illustrate this, because there's a lot of information I think that people can take away, and a lot of questions that we can be asking ourselves. Even those of us who are frontline leaders and managers, we may not be changing the direction of the business, but I think you commented, how could you be using your talent on your team differently? So there's things that we can take no matter what level of leadership we're in. So thank you very much for that. I want to wrap this up with ending this on a uplifting note and asking you a question around what is one thing that you've either witnessed or experienced personally that's been a real positive coming out of this COVID-19 crisis that we're in?
You know what? I think, interestingly, as much as we are physically separated from people, I'm seeing a lot more connection with people. So a lot more phone calls going out, a lot more Zoom meetings or RingCentral or FaceTime or whatever technology you want to use, right? I'm seeing a lot more of that happening, where people are having purposeful conversations with other people, and those conversations show that they care. They're not just checking in because they feel they have to. They're checking in because they really care, and they're looking for that connectedness. Which is a great thing. So I'm seeing a lot of that and loving it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. That's wonderful. I totally agree. And this wraps up this edition of Reality Check Conversations. If you got something of value in this video, please take a moment to share it with friends and family, and to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss a future episode. Thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.